Hello everyone and welcome to our Game Week 8 preview. I'm Chris, Kieran is here too. Hey. Yeah, I'm good today, thanks. Yeah. Looking forward to I feel like we've got momentum back now because we've got the game after the international or the game week after the international break out of the way. The game week starts early on Friday this week, so I feel like we're back into a bit of FPL momentum for a little bit. So, yeah, that's always I know. Yeah, it's early kickoff on Friday. Right. As per the stream title, you had an absolute whopper of a game week. Well, I say few game weeks now. So why don't you talk us through it?
Yes, it wonders what your rank will do when your Haaland's blanking 3 times in a row, I suppose.
Man.
But yeah, 49 points, decently above the average. Yeah, so I think I went from 231k to 133k, so that was a nice 100k rank jump. I think it was only around 170k after the weekend stuff, and then Henderson with his 3 pointer managed to get me up to 133k, so that was
okay.
more than I expected, but okay. No defensive clean sheets this week. Saliba with his -3. I didn't really think it was much different to the one that didn't get a red card.
In the Liverpool game.
What was it? The Liverpool game, yes. So yeah, unlucky, I suppose. He's going to be an issue I have to deal with. Yeah, and Bromo blanking for the first time in my team, I think it is, which is unfortunate. But yeah, the Salah captaincy came in clutch. It was between him and Saka. I was on the boat of just being like, Saka's probably going to be fine.
Yeah.
I had the vice on him, I think. So, actually, no, it was on Slanky. But yeah, Saka ended up not playing. Shame, but that meant Rodgers came in off the bench for me, which was great. Yeah, Watkins points still. Loads of people still don't seem to have Watkins, and so I'm taking his points fine. And yeah, Dunk is on the bench with 6 points, which was a bit of a shame. But yeah, overall can't complain really. Like went well enough, and yeah, keep going in the green arrow direction.
I think if you get out of it this week with no Haaland or some sort of Haaland blank again, well, to be honest, I think like you've smashed it anyway because all the points that he potentially like could have got in these 3 good game weeks, he hasn't anyway, and you're so far up. Like our captaincy difference for the last 3 game weeks would be so it's like 8 to probably about 80 of that Saka in there, Salah, and then you had another Salah as well, didn't you? So
yep.
Yeah, it's crazy that triple blank has been awful.
Yeah, it was Saka's 32. Yeah, and then Salah's 20, and then Salah's 24 this week, was it?
Yeah, so what's that?
So
44.
it's quite.
Yeah, it's like 78. So yeah, it's huge. It's huge. But
true.
It's going to set you in such a good position now for the rest of the season, really.
I hope so. Yeah, it's just obviously this week I was more worried about the Wolves fixture than I was this Southampton one, but Southampton at home, scary.
I know. But he's still got to get through the game tonight.
Imagine if he gets injured.
I know. Can you imagine? It'd be awful. But we'll see. Right. My team. So it's a Haaland team, and I had 3 returners, a bit like you, which maybe didn't make it as bad as some people because I had Milenkovic do fairly well to keep that clean sheet. So it was. I think it was a green by like 1,000 places, but so it was basically like a grey really. But I said to you the other day, like if you told me Calvert-Lewin had matched Haaland in the 3 game weeks post wildcard 6, I'd be rubbing my hands together. But he's been disappointing. He had such good chances in that Ipswich game again. Like he could have hauled. He had like a 1.3, 1.4 xG in that game alone. So that's a bit disappointing. But yeah, only 3 returners: Rodgers, Watkins, and Milenkovic. I don't really know what to do with the team. I've got like 3 transfers this week and nothing is just like really exciting. Like you, I've got Saka, who looks like he's likely probably going to be out still this weekend with his hamstring.
Well, I think I heard that the expected news is that he will be available.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's been news today of reporters. So.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I'll wait and hold tight for that. But I don't know. It just feels like I don't really know what to do at the moment. Like I don't think anything looks that bad. My only real problem is Diaz maybe, and it's just going nowhere for like 3 weeks. But anyway, perhaps we'll talk about it a bit more because I've got plans to spend a lot of transfers and maybe get Haaland out after this game, which might mix things up a little bit. So Yeah, let's chat through that. Right, we've got a few topics to cover tonight. I suppose first of all, should we start with you want to start with talking about Haaland triple captaincy, because that's an interesting one this week. People have flexed by putting it on X, but I don't know. I don't know if you can captain a player that's so woefully out of form.
Yeah, it's interesting to get my point of view of a non-owner, I suppose. But yeah, like it's his first time he's ever blanked 3 times in a row in the Premier League, which is in and itself is obviously crazy. So yeah, he went from 7, 17, 17, 13, 9 to 3 times 2 in a row.
Crazy.
Yeah, the 3 blanks have come in what we've expected to be good fixtures, which was Newcastle away, Fulham at home, Wolves away, and obviously Southampton at home next up. Yeah, he had an XG of 0.7 across the 3 games, the last 3, an XG of 0 versus Wolves. Like he had 0 shots, like 0 shots blocked, like no XG of 0, like XA of basically nothing. So yeah, he just had, I think he had like 13 touches as well, like an absolute like obviously in games he has like few touches, but this is a new level and where he's just done absolutely nothing. Yeah, he still had 9 shots from these 3 games, obviously not in the Wolves game, but which is still 4th of all strikers, so he's at least getting some opportunities of shots, I guess, but obviously not the Wolves game. But yeah, so the argument to triple captain him this week. So Saints XGC as a team is 16.8, which is 19th of all teams. 0 clean sheets so far, 29 big chances conceded, which is 18th of all teams, and then 94 shots conceded in the box, which is 18th of all teams. So yeah, that's all sounds good for Haaland. They've conceded an XGC of 2.45 versus Forest, which is, Forest aren't that great attacking. 2.78 versus Brentford, 2.67 versus Man United, which is when Man United were terrible. 1.6 versus Ipswich, 2.8 versus Arsenal, 3.21 versus Leicester. So they've conceded roughly 4 XG in 2 games versus 2 promoted teams as well. And that's at home of both of them, and that's just terrible. So, and even conceding like 2.67 to Man United, like that's criminal too. So, yeah, they've been giving up huge XGC numbers across basically all their games. Like the one where it was the lowest was where that Newcastle, the first game of the week or first game of the season for them, where someone got sent off. Shah, wasn't it?
That's right. 10 men for like.
But they still lost that game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that shows you a lot, I suppose. Yeah, so Man City's XG is 15.5, which is 3rd of all teams, 19 goals, which is 1st, 157 shots, which is 1st, 56 shots on target 1st, big chances 20, which is actually only 11th, which is a bit strange. But I guess you don't really need huge big chances for Haaland. He'll just smash them in whatever. So
it's funny you should say that though, because I looked at why he's been doing so badly trying to work out what to do, and their expected goals for the last 3 games is actually like 10th best of all teams. They've only had 4.2. Sure. So I don't know what it is that's made them drop off to this extent, because the fixtures have been good. They should have lost that Fulham game, lucky to win the Wolves game. Well, lucky to
possibly a correlation with KDB being out,
potentially.
Although, and possibly Rodri as well. Have they had many games where Rodri and KDB are out? Probably not. So,
but that big chances one you put there as well has just totally dropped off. So they've had 2 big chances in the last 4 game weeks. If look at that, that's actually the worst in the league for big chances across the last 3 game weeks.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
It is. Yeah. So, not form. I mean, across the season is good form, but right now definitely not. I guess we'll see what happens tonight in the Champions League. I could see them doing really well and then getting back into form, and then people will start to look at the treble captain more again. So, but yeah, still the top scoring forward on 69 points. He's 19 ahead of the 2nd place despite those 3 blanks in a row, which is saying something as well. He'll obviously be motivated to score well, obviously due to these blanks. I'll expect he'll want to punish the Saints team at home. Is obviously a good place to do it. The 3 teams who we managed to stop him have got a lot sort of strong defensive centre-back partnerships, whereas like Saints really kind of don't. Like Bednarek could own goal incoming possibly. Yeah, so Haaland himself has 71% chance of scoring, which is from the bookies. It's roughly like higher and lower in different places, but that's obviously pretty high. Yeah, so I've just put here the absence of KDB makes him slightly weaker, I think. But then the expected points of 9 for this week is the highest for all players for
Mm.
game week 9. The next closest was Palmer on 7.7. So, all the expected points, all the, chance of scoring percentages from the bookies and stuff all says he's massively favored to do well this week. And, there's not that many double game weeks this year. So putting it on a triple captain on a single game week, it seems like a fine choice to do this year. So, and, the second worst defense in the league at home.
It seems like a good option. Yeah,
it does seem like a good option. So, are you considering it at all?
I'm not, simply because, well, mainly because form and the fear factor that form will continue, rather than just switch to being a huge game. I'm still kind of betting on the outside chance we do get a double game week for a decent, like a semi-decent team, and that maybe will just put me over the edge to do that. I just think, yeah, playing it this early in the season, I think I would have gone Ipswich rather than this one. And now that the team as a whole looks so disjointed these last 3 games, then yeah, it's just put me off. I mean, admittedly, the Champions League could change things tonight. They could put on a good performance and immediately think, okay, that's good. And you're right, the Southampton numbers are there, showing that they're not good defensively. So you would expect them to win comfortably this weekend. I think most bookies have them to score like a minimum of 3 goals this weekend. So that kind of ties in with Southampton's expected goal rate average against the better team so far this season, which is generally like 2.5 and up. Yeah, I suppose short answer. I'm not really.
When I captained Saka versus Saints, he got, he wasn't in huge form. Like he had good numbers, but he wasn't like hauling every week.
True.
Like he just had a couple assists. Like in this game, he got a goal, 2 assists. Like, it's there for most teams or players to do well against them. Like Leicester scored 3 against them. Like came back from 2-0 down. Like it's they're there for the taking. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean. No, I agree that they're there for the taking. For me, I think it's funny. It's just think based off City's form, which I didn't think I'd be saying it. They just don't look confident at the moment, and I don't know. I just can't back. If he'd scored even a goal across these last 3 game weeks, I'd be like, sure. He didn't even score in his in the international break either. So yeah, he's just done enough to me. I mean, do we know if KDB is going to be back? I think that would make a bit of a difference.
I think they said he's close, but I'm not sure about for this weekend. No.
Okay. Yeah. So for me personally, not. But I could understand, why people would do it.
I wonder if people are thinking triple captain against him because they missed the chance of the triple captain against Ipswich, and
I think so.
Trying to like chase it a little bit, possibly.
Yeah. I mean, even that Ipswich game, he had a penalty in it, and I just think there's probably, if you get to a later part of the season and there is a double game week, there's probably slightly more upside. Well, there's always going to be more upside in 2 games, and if there's a midfielder who looks like they're going to have a couple of good games, it would be worth banking on that player. So yeah, it's an interesting. He's definitely it's almost like last saloon for now for Haaland for me this game as well. Like, and I wonder if many people feel the same. But if he blanks again after this run, the appeal of spreading that money around to multiple premium assets feels like a better way to do it, because like relying on him and fodder to pad him, it's just not worked recently, which is why not going anywhere.
I mean, really. It did to start the season, but yeah.
No, it's definitely. I'm not even confident of a return, which is crazy, even against Southampton, despite all the things you've said about the statistics. I'm just thinking like, he's gonna blank again, or he's gonna get rested, or something is gonna happen, and it's just gonna be awful. Because I think this is the game everyone's like pinning their hopes on for for this block of 4 fixtures: the Newcastle, Fulham, Wolves, Southampton. Everyone's like, oh, it ends against Southampton. That's the good one. I mean, they've still got Bournemouth and Brighton to come after that, but I don't know. It just feels like this is the money game.
I think he'll get something. I think he'll get a goal at least. I can't see him blanking.
No, I can see him blanking against Wolves, but that happened.
Yeah,
anyway.
true.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about. We've got some matches to highlight. I want to get your thoughts really on why you think Palace are so bad. So obviously, I wanted to highlight Palace against Tottenham because there's a number of different Spurs assets for different reasons that are popular. But I was having a look at basically back end of last season to the first games of this season.
Mm.
they've obviously lost Elise, and but it kind of looked like they're dropping Mateta now in favour of Nketiah, so they obviously can't get it right up front. But last 8 games of last season, they were averaging 1.5 xG per game, 1.3 xGC conceded. That was in the top 6 for both of those metrics. Whereas this season, first 8 games average 1.16 xG, so fallen off by basically a third there, or a quarter, sorry, and 1.5 expected goals conceded, so that's up, but only slightly. So they're 15th for XG across the opening 8 game weeks and 10th for XGC. So big drop off in both areas, and this has obviously impacted their position in the table. They're now in the bottom 3. They haven't won so far this season. I don't know, what do you think? Like, we had high hopes for Palace being like a decent option this week, up this season, with Eze and even Mateta at 7.5 if he was going to have penalties. And you and I both started with Henderson. I don't know, it just seems like a bit of a anomaly that they've done so badly.
Yeah, I mean, Kamada is a good player, but he is a 10 and he's trying to be shoehorned into Eze's, or like Eze is the 10 and obviously he's trying to be shoehorned somewhere else in the team. Mateta's form, I guess it was just a purple patch, because before Mateta's like good season of purple patch, he was pretty awful and useless. So like they bought Nketiah, who is kind of like, he wants to play up front, and then they've been lumping him on the wing sometimes as well, and that's just not really working. So yeah, it's strange. They're just putting some players in the wrong positions, and I don't know, maybe they just need to go back to basics. But I feel like they've only really lost Elise, and they have bought good players. They've obviously lost Anderson as well. Like, but the players that have come in, like, they're good. They're not quite as good as Elise, but
I wouldn't say it's that much of a difference.
Yeah, that Lacroix or whatever, Lacroix, or I have no idea how we say it. Like, he's a good centre back. He's probably just as good as Anderson, in my opinion. So, I don't really know. Like, it just, I expect they'll probably turn it around at some point, and then Eze will become an option again. But I don't know. I guess we just need to see it. Like, Nketiah as well. I think just play like play Mateta. I don't know. Just like.
Well, I think they've tried to go for this option where they play like basically 3-5-2, or like with the 2 wing backs. So that means they've got like 2 number 10s in Eze and Kamada. It's like they just get in each other's way. And then Mateta and Nketiah, who are both clearly like number 9s, it's been situations where Nketiah has played like the number 10 role, or he's played number 9. It just feels a bit, I don't know. It's a shame. The reason I just want to talk about it is just because I think it's a shame, because they had good price assets at the start of the season. We thought this was going to be the team to target, and it's funny how after 8 weeks they've been so much different than last season, and there's other breakout teams who have just done what we thought they would, really. And to be sitting in the bottom 3 after 8 game weeks is just shocking, really. And Eze, someone who I started with, I just wanted to I got rid of him game week 4 or 5, I think. I wanted to compare how well he'd done. So he's had just 1 return in these opening 8 game weeks. He's dropped from 7 to 6.7 million. So, later down the line, he might be an option again because of his price. But his numbers at the end of last season compared to this are just so much different. So 0.35 xG per 90 back end of last season, last 8 game weeks. It's 0.13 per 90 so far this season. So that's like a drop off of 2/3 essentially. And his expected assist rate, which you would think would be decent for him playing in the number 10 role, like consistently with minutes as well this season. It's not like he hasn't missed a single minute of the season so far. He's got 0.28 expected assists per game, whereas last season it was 0.44. So a huge discrepancy in both, and it's a shame because I feel like that's where we're missing more players in that midfield bracket, especially for him in that price range. So just an interesting one.
Guess Elise really was that glue. I don't know, like he doesn't seem like he was, like, he's obviously a great player, like, and he's been doing really well at Bayern too, but like, I don't know, he didn't seem like he was like the complete thing that made them fully tick, but maybe it was.
It's really, really odd. All right, so just moving on to their opponents then, Spurs. So I've got interest in Spurs this week because if Saka is enough of a doubt this weekend, I think for me Son looks like a better replacement than Palmer, even though people are just flocking to Palmer just because the fixtures are in my opinion, they're better for Spurs than they are for Chelsea over the next 3 games. And
Yeah.
Son at home has been very proficient this season. He's got a return of 16, 10, and 8 in 3 of his 4 home games. The other game was a blank against Arsenal, which is fair enough. But last 4 game weeks, Spurs have got 2.85 XG per 90, so that's first, and 1.1 expected goals conceded fourth. So they're looking good at both ends of the pitch from a numbers point of view, but I still wouldn't trust Spurs defensively. Problem is, I think they've just got too many options to try and work out what the best one is. So I talked about Kulu and Maddison last week. So this week I thought I'd just compare their wide players. So Son obviously at 9.9 million, just owned by 7% of players. Johnson 6.7 million, owned by just less than 10. I actually wanted to preface this, but I saw that Son wasn't in training for their Europa League game tomorrow night. But
okay,
I wonder if that might be just because he's come back from a hamstring injury. They don't want to overload him because he played nearly 70 minutes at the weekend. But
I think that would make sense.
Yeah.
Don't need to play him in a dead rubber sort of Europa League game. Yeah.
But yeah, they both obviously look like good options. Big price difference between them of like about 3 million. But of the games they've started together, Son has done by far the better points wise. He's more than doubled Johnson's points when they've both been on the pitch together, 41 to 20. Son's XG slightly worse actually, 1.8 per game compared to Johnson.
The tap-ins,
yeah, exactly, against 2.8, and Son's XG is like 3 times as high, 1.2 expected assists against 0.4. Sorry, that's for all the games they've started together, not per game. So the bottom line is Son is, which is probably not a surprise, has the same amount of returns in 400 fewer minutes, so looks like the better asset. And I don't think that's a surprise, but it does sort of reinforce the fact that with some good fixtures coming for Spurs over this next period, which is Palace away, Villa at home, and Ipswich at home, who are that's the money game, followed by City away, and then Fulham, which I don't think City away is a bad game for Spurs at the moment, given the attack there, because they'll be having to play on the counter. City haven't been good defensively. Then it's Fulham and Bournemouth. So there's been a lot of talk about Palmer coming in for people for Saka, but I think Son is just about as good pick. I mean, Palmer's fixtures are much tougher. This Newcastle game, fair enough, that's probably the good one on paper. Man United, for all their problems, have actually been fairly good defensively, and then Chelsea have got a game against Arsenal, so maybe it's just one of those games they could haul in, whereas Villa were wide open against Palace, we've just talked about not being very reliable at the minute. Villa were wide open in their Champions League game last night and have not been good defensively recently.
They have got 3 clean sheets in a row in the Champions League.
I know they're good in the Champions League, but they're not good in the league. They were just wide. I mean, did you see the chances that, I forget who they played last night?
Bologna.
Oh,
yeah, no, I haven't watched the highlights now.
Oh, the chances Bologna had, I just thought they were wide open. And then Ipswich. So anyway, so my point was, on my question really, is if you had enough to do either this week, would you want to go short-termy for these fixtures for Son, or would you play it safe for longer term and go get Palmer?
Not sure. I think it depends.
You haven't got either, and you're in the same situation with a Saka flag.
Yeah, if you like I said, that he's supposed to or expected to be fit for Liverpool. Like in that scenario, are you still selling?
Potentially, yeah. Only a little bit. I hadn't been, but just because of the fixtures, I've maybe thought there's an opportunity to do something there, because it's Liverpool, then it's is it Newcastle away and then Chelsea away. So he is consistent returner, but I wonder if Son's got some fixtures here where he could haul in, and maybe in the short term with I've got 3 transfers, it seems like maybe a nice move to make, really.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the problem, like you've actually mentioned, that there is so many options in Spurs. Is that I don't know if you own Solanke as well, but I own Solanke. He looked so good a few weeks ago, where he was getting the returns, and then he started to dry up. And now Johnson, we talked about him last week as well, or I talked about him as just being I think he's a good option, but I think he's a bit purple patchy as well, and a bit maybe a little bit unreliable, and his tap-ins are not always going to happen. And lo and behold, he goes and blanks, and then Kulu and Son get the returns. So
Maddison got one, but then off at half time.
Yeah. So who's to say that Son is going to get anything this week? And Johnson might get something, and Solanke might be Solanke's turn. So, Son, when he does play, does seem to do fine. And I don't love him off the wing as much, but he got very far forward last week. So Yeah, I think it's a tough call, but it does make sense. Lots of people did do it last week, which I obviously wish I had. The assist got taken away, which rightly so.
Yeah.
And then, very unlucky for that one that hit the post as well. So he could have been on 2-goal, 1-assist haul last week, and people would be certainly doing the move this week. Maybe just because he only got one return, people are less
keen. Yeah.
Less keen. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, he's got, like I say, he's got as many returns as Johnson, who people are still raving about in like far fewer minutes, which is good.
Yeah.
He's not been like I watched him. I watched the full Leicester game on the first day of the season, which probably is like a long time ago now. But he was pretty bad in that game and pretty anonymous. And his XG in that game was 0.03. And it was 0.1 in the away game against Newcastle. So in the away games he's played, which he's got one coming up, it's not good. But then he's got 3 home games and 4 against Villa, Ipswich, and Fulham. So yeah, I don't know. I just kind of fancy him at the minute. He looks like he'll be good.
I mean, I guess you'll need to hear news about him being fit or not. Absolutely. Yeah, I think Ange usually says, doesn't he?
Pretty honest.
Thank God.
Yeah, and then just to get your opinion on Solanke, really. So he was blank. Oh, he blanked, and I thought he was quite quiet against Palace. So in game weeks 5 to 8, Spurs have. Like, this is why I said about there's too much choice. In the game weeks 5 to 8, Spurs have scored 13 goals, and I think that's the highest of all teams in that time. And he has 2 goals and 1 assist, so 3 out of the 13 goal involvements. In that time frame, I thought broader, I'll have a look at the forwards. He's only had 8 shots in the box, which is 7th of all forwards. His XG is really high, though, 2.99, considering he's not had any penalties, is pretty impressive. And his 0.4 XA. Maybe unlucky, but 19 points in that period is the 10th best of all forwards. And Spurs perhaps not going to score at that amazing rate all season. So I don't know. I don't own him, but I think he looks like a good price, and like it at the start of the season. But I don't know. Are you frustrated owning him, or do you not mind him? Or
yeah, I think I've had 2 weeks of him, and he's blanked. Well, he got an assist in the first one, so, and he hasn't really looked like scoring, to be honest. So yeah, I am a little bit frustrated, but I think I've just got to stay patient with him, I suppose. The fixture this week looks good, but the away game not so much. But then the home games, like you said, after that. So I like to have a bit of the pie, but if he's going to be the one not getting the returns, that's going to be a worry. Yeah, so the Saka, the Sun move might look interesting too. Yeah, not sure.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, cool. Should we chit chat about Arsenal next then, and Saka and
So I want to talk about Saliba to start with. Obviously I had him in my team. Maybe a lot of other people don't have him. I think most people probably have Gabriel, but I started the season with Saliba, not done the move to get him to Gabriel, not had a wild card yet, so I've been stuck with him. But yeah, the 1 match ban, I think it is. People were a little bit confused, I think. But yeah, it is only 1 match. Arguably, probably how the Premier League table stands is probably one of the most important one of the seasons versus Liverpool. Usually it's versus City, but versus Liverpool at the moment with them at the top of the Premier League. Certainly important. So he will return obviously the week after to Newcastle away and then Chelsea away back to back. So 2 away games for him to come back. So it's at the point that you're just looking at is he worth selling over the next 3 to 4 weeks, or would you possibly get Gabriel, or would you just sell and just dip back in after game weeks? I think it's game 12 their fixtures turn again.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So their XGC as a team is 9.14, which is 5th, which is not what it was last year when their numbers were kind of absolute elite levels, well ahead of other teams. So this is their defense is not as good as it has been, and this year's sort of defense seems to be the one that's well above is Liverpool's. So best replacements possibly someone like Ait Nouri, who's obviously got that really good run of fixtures now from game week 9. Vardiol has obviously scored 2 goals, but is he due a rest? Maybe not sure.
Well, I think Pep said he might get a rest tonight.
Okay, interesting.
Which he said Nathan Ake's got to play sometime. So yeah, right. I think Vardiol could be not a bad shout, to be honest.
Yeah, I've been looking at replacements and just I don't know. There doesn't seem to be that many that interest me, to be honest.
All the defenders are boring this season, aren't they?
Yeah, there's Delo and Delit maybe like United, but that's well, I just don't know if I can trust United defense. But yeah, so it really only looks like Nori seems to be the only option for me, to be honest. So and that's obviously going down quite a bit. This would leave me like 1.8 in the bank, which may be good to be able to get back Gabriel after that. So Nori, but then at the same time, Nori has Brighton this week, which is not a great fixture in terms of defense.
No.
So,
and you kind of probably want a defender you're going to play most weeks, don't you?
Yes, yeah, pretty much. Obviously, I would do after this week, but like he would if I bring him in. Well, he doesn't necessarily have to start because at the moment in my team, like he is benched at the moment, a sleeper. So I wouldn't necessarily have to start Nori this week. So yeah, I probably wouldn't. Brighton away is not a good fixture for a bad defense in general. So
you could get Porro back. More Pedro Porro fun. But we said last week it's like an expensive man's Nori.
Yeah. Well, he was more attacking last week. I was a little bit worried about not owning him last week. He was very attacking, and he did start to take actually more corners. Like when Maddison was on the pitch, he did take the corners from the right side. Maddison was taken from the left. So whereas before, like in the weeks before that, Maddison was taking both corners. And
if Maddison is out,
yeah, and I did notice that Maddison's corners were terrible as well. So that's possibly why. Like he was hitting them like over the top of everyone. Like they were going literally over everyone to like the other corner. Like so. Yeah, he was not doing well on that front. Whereas Porro was taking lots of shots, getting really far forward as he was for his goal earlier in the season. So, yeah, Porro's not the worst shout, I suppose.
Palace away, who haven't scored. How many times have they blanked at home? But they blanked against Forest, and they got Villa, which is probably not a good game for a clean sheet. But then they got Ipswich, which is probably a good game for a clean sheet. And then game week 12 rocks around. There's your Gabriel move right back. Don't know, maybe a good one.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. I don't know who I'd bench at that point. I'd probably have to bench.
Not sure what your team is. We'll have to have a look at that.
Well, yeah, it'd be like Lewis or Dunk, I guess, which would be not great. Right. So yeah.
Sorry.
So the outcome of that is probably sell him. You could feasibly keep him because he'll come back next week and. Their defense is good, but it is Newcastle away, who Chelsea did just get a clean sheet against. Was it Chelsea got a clean sheet against them? No, someone did. Newcastle away.
Brighton.
Brighton. So that's a bit of a strange one. So yeah, Newcastle's offense not that great at the moment. Isak I think is supposed to be back or this week-ish, I think. So that could be okay as well, like to come back into. But then Chelsea away after that, you're not expecting a clean sheet there, but they certainly could do that as well. So yeah, I don't think he's the worst keep either. So I think it's really just up to your team. Like you could sell, you could keep. So Saka. Yeah. So 10 million, 31% owned. Obviously there was you've deleted X recently and Twitter, but there was a big drama over in the Twitter sphere of apparent last minute leaks. Yeah, last minute leaks and content creators received. That he wasn't in the squad and apparently didn't share with the community. People are saying that they have proof. The people involved are saying that it's just absolute bullshit, and it's just so don't know who to believe. But like 10 to 12 of the big to major creators transferred him out like last minute, while they kind of were saying to their sort of followers to just keep hold of him. So yeah.
To be honest, I did see a video on. It must have been on Reddit because that's what I'm using now to keep up to date with it. But it was of one of the guys on Arsenal Fan TV. And I don't know if you seen that video. Apparently that came out on like Thursday or Friday. And I don't know. To be honest, I don't watch Arsenal Fan TV. But it was like convincing evidence that Saka's going to get rested. And this guy was just like, I kind of know that he's not going to be in the squad this weekend. So that was even after the press conference. So I think if I'd seen that, I might have been a bit like,
Yeah, but why would you believe what he's saying? But yeah, anyway, so I just believed he was a hold last week. I think we both did. From Castley's comments of just that he was pretty much ready to go and for the second England game. So I just figured like, what would possibly be wrong that he can't just play this week? Like he had the game off. He had more rest. Like I didn't. Yeah, but anyway, hamstring injury, I guess. But yeah, the news now, the latest news is that, as I said, reporters are saying he's expected to be back for Liverpool. So
Yeah.
that obviously strengthens Arsenal for this week. Liverpool's defense obviously really good. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, Arsenal. Yeah, they played Champions League this week, which he wasn't in the squad for at all again, which I was a bit surprised for again. But yeah, I think he could be worth keeping. However, like Palmer looks enticing versus Newcastle. I said he's got United after that, which is obviously a great game for him. While obviously Saka is facing Liverpool, Newcastle, Chelsea, which is tough fixtures. So yeah, he's had one blank up until now before the injury. Returns in games versus Villa, Brighton, Man City. So we shouldn't really think or shouldn't be phased that he's not a good play in tough matchups, because he is. Yeah. He's been good. So if he's injured for a while, obviously, or and he's not back this weekend, then he's a clear sell to Son or Palmer. Otherwise, I think he's kind of like a risk management hold. Like, how brave are you to sell him? Like when Palmer just blanked last weekend. Like Son, is he definitely going to be the one that gets returns? So yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, so from game at 2 to 7, not including last week, he had 20 shots, which was fifth of all mids, 1.65 XG, 2 big chances, 22 key passes, 11 big chances created, which is well ahead of anyone else, and an XA of 2.78, which was well ahead of anyone else. So his assist threat was well ahead, as I said, of every other mid at the moment, and he's still on penalties. Like, as far as we know, Trossard screwed one up last night. Havertz should be the backup, but Saka is on penalties as well. So
was Havertz on the pitch when Trossard took that one last night?
He was. Like, I think Arteta said, like, Havertz is the backup, but Trossard just ended up taking it. I don't know why. So so I still think he can just get something from these games.
Oh god, yeah, I think so.
And assuming he's playing, basically. So it's just up to you again whether you sell him or not. And then I just want to mention Havertz. Like, I still think he's great value at 8.3 million. Backup pen taker, as I said, he should be. And if Saka's out, that's obviously good for him. 20 shots, which is second of all. Forwards, 8 big chances, joint third. XG of 3.95, which is third. I think he's worth keeping in these tough matches. I have him. I still think he's good value. Like 8.3 million for an Arsenal forward is good. They're going to score goals, as we've seen. So, but at the same time, like Wood, who is like good 1 point whatever cheaper, faces Leicester away, West Ham at home, Newcastle at home. So he could be worth shifting for a couple good fixtures elsewhere as well. So it's playing the fixtures game with these players. But at the same time, they can return in big games. Like, they're not always not going to get anything just because it's a tough game.
Sure. What do you think about? I know this is a bit of a wild one out of nowhere. Actually, maybe we'll talk about them. Talk about our teams in a minute. Actually, let's not go there just yet. No, sure. I agree with you about Havertz. Really, there's no point because he's close to a drop, and people have seen transferring him.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah, I think I've noticed where people are selling him and Trent, which made me think about talking to you about Trent in a minute. But yeah, I think if he's not missed a minute in the league this season, he's backup penalty taker. He's a good striker in the Arsenal team, and yeah, if Saka's out, then surely his goal share will go up anyway. I know it didn't against Bournemouth, and maybe that'll be an anomaly, but perhaps that was affected by the sending off. But I think nothing wrong with Havertz at all.
He was about, like, I don't know, a couple of centimeters away from getting on the head of on the end of like a chance last night again in the Champions League. So he would have scored there. Then I'll just been like,
fine.
No chance of ever selling him, really. Yeah.
Just a couple of other players just to touch on. So, but before or continue on some good runs is Jimenez. Do you think he's like the real? I was surprised. Like, starting with Muniz, I didn't expect either of the budget Fulham forwards to be any good, and I didn't think Jimenez was going to keep it up. And obviously, when I played my wild card, I kind of thought the fixtures were tough for Fulham, and I nearly got rid of Smith Rowe. But in the time that he's been in the team, he's not blanked. So game week 4 to game week 8 now, that's 5 game weeks in a row. He's returned in every one. 4 goals, 1 assist. His price has now gone up to just 5.7. You're probably not in the market for any cheap forward, but his 17 shots in the box is the highest of all forwards under 6.5 million, and that's over the season, considering he barely played in the first 3 games. We've got 30 minutes, and he's got the second highest XG after Archer. So that obviously includes Wood, it includes Cunha. There's some decent names in there, and he has proved. I mean, it was years ago now, 17 goals one season, 13 another. He's he's on 4. He's already got more than half that he did last season in about a third of the time.
And should have took the penalty as well.
Should have taken the penalty. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he was on penalties at Wolves, wasn't he? So
yeah, and after this game, so Everton, which probably the tougher defence in the next 5, they've got Brentford, which can't keep a clean sheet. Palace, which aren't great defensively. Wolves, who haven't been too hot either. Spurs away, probably won't be able to keep a clean sheet. And then Brighton at home, you'd fancy. So yeah, I think Jimenez looks like a good move for like the next 6 game weeks. It gets a bit tougher then. They've got Arsenal, Liverpool back-to-back games, and then they've got a bit of a longer run again after Southampton. So yeah, I'm not surprised he's going up in ownership, but he's still less than 10%. It's a shame because I look at him and think I've got transfers to go from DCL, but like even with Everton's fixtures still, I just feel like it would be it feels sideways. And
I think he's a great option if he like lets you get like a power mid 3 of possibly like Salah, Son, Palmer, like something like that.
Yeah.
Like that would be awesome. I think he is a good option, but at the same time, like Cunha and Strand Larson are good options at Wolves too. So that sort of that price bracket is getting a little bit competitive, which is nice.
Yeah, it's good. All right. And the only other person you sort of mentioned was Gvardiol, who I was going to suggest as one of your Saliba replacements, really. So he played basically nearly 90 minutes in all the games, 7 of 8, and 2 goals, joint most of all defenders. And just think if they'd got like a few more clean sheets, I think if they'd had literally 2 more clean sheets in the time, that he'd be top, and I think its ownership would be absolutely sky high. For now, it's 25%. I think probably because of lots of teams at the start of the season, but yeah, the fact they haven't kept more than 1 clean sheet is shocking, and I think he's probably surprised to me that he's not got higher ownership.
Yeah, no, I do like that because I think Lewis is supposedly supposed to be starting tonight in the Champions League, and he's been starting in the Prem. So I'm just like wondering when the next Lewis bench is, and that would suck if I I lose out on a Southampton at home fixture for a City defense. And yeah, Gvardiol seems like it. Like if he's not playing tonight, he'll come straight back in. Like as long as he's playing that attacking role that he has been recently, yeah, it seems great.
Yeah, no, I think he seems good. And like I said, I'm pretty sure I read a quote that Pep said Gvardiol can't play all the games, which implied to me, which is why I kept him benched in UCL tonight in favour of what's he called? Kunude for Barcelona. Koundé, that's it.
Yes.
Anyway.
Interesting you're playing a Barcelona defender instead of who's against Bayern, which is interesting.
Well, I didn't want to sub in Gvardiol for his bench pointers. I know when I was looking at I already got rid of 2 Barcelona players. This is now UCL content. But I already sold. What did I do? I sold Lewandowski and Lamal this week for.
See, I kept Yamal and Rafinha, and I'm playing them both. I'm benching Trent for one of them.
Your balls. Who have you captained tonight?
I've gone for Wirtz.
I went for Wirtz as well. He's a good looking option.
Yep.
Anyway, Mo's probably going to crush me. Cool. All right, let's talk about our other teams.
Yeah.
Just a bit of a sidetrack there. Right, whose team have I got up first? I'll put mine up. Flecken in goal, Trent, Gabriel and Milenkovic, Mbuemo, Smith Rowe, Rogers, Saka, Calvert-Lewin, Watkins, Haaland. It's difficult for me this week because Watkins holds a lot of my budget, and I think he's got a cracking fixture and he's been benched. So I don't really like the idea of selling him. He's the only way I can get to Palmer in 2 moves, basically. Unless I actually got rid of Saka, but I don't
benching Diaz.
Yeah, I mean Arsenal defense is weaker, but he's been benched by Slot, so maybe he can be benched by me.
Well, it looks like Calaflori might be out for a little bit too. So with Saliba gone too, like there's goals there for Liverpool.
Who would you play him ahead of though? Smith Rowe.
Probably Smith Rowe, yeah.
Maybe.
Smith Rowe's banked 3 in a row. Like I don't know if I'm benching Smith Rowe at the moment, so yeah, I don't know if he's looking that on it at the moment. But yeah.
I don't know if I can even get a read on what the team's going to be. Like I didn't expect him to be benched against Chelsea.
No, neither of us did we?
No.
Yeah.
If he starts tonight, then I would guess he's going to be benched again. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm not really sure what to. I almost wanted to roll, but then to see how Saka is. I think a lot of people are selling Trent to fund Palmer, but I don't love that because I think they got back-to-back good home fixtures and then they play Southampton shortly. So
I think Trent is a season
fine,
keeper.
yeah.
Yeah, I think just like he's great. Like
Mm.
keep him in, and he has been getting earlier subs as well, which can be good for his clean sheets. So yeah, just leave Trent in.
No, so I think probably this week I'm more than likely going to do. You've made me think I want to play Diaz now, but I think I'll see on team sheet tonight. But yeah, I think I'll probably do Saka to Son, and then next week because Watkins has got 2 rough games away at Spurs and Liverpool. I'm thinking if that's the weekend of downgrade to get Cunha for the start of his good run at home, and get to Palmer or Salah, and then I'm going to have hopefully 3 premium slots in play, which will be 2 of them will be midfielders plus Haaland. So it'll either be Salah, Son at that point, and Haaland, or Palmer, Son, and Haaland. I quite like the idea of getting Salah because they've got 2 really good home games back to back, and everyone seems to be going on Palmer. But I'm not sure it's like the right time. Like I don't think he's going to haul away against United. I don't think he's going to haul at home against Arsenal. Whereas I think Salah could definitely haul in. Let me just double check. Salah could definitely haul in
Brighton and Villa.
Brighton and Villa at home, absolutely. Yeah. And Son could definitely haul against Villa and Ipswich at home. Both of those I think are going to do better than Palmer, but everyone's seems crazy to get Palmer in this week. But yeah, well, I suppose he'll probably do well this week.
It's just showed again that Salah like can do really well in tough fixtures as well. Like yeah. I think a couple of weeks ago when I just mentioned and rattled off his like returns against like the teams he's facing coming up, like, and he just went and got 12 points against Chelsea and he was great. So yeah, I think he'll probably get something this week too. Yeah.
I know. I nearly thought maybe I'll get Salah in this week and just be done with it because I could see him doing well against Liverpool. Yeah, cool. All right, that's me. I got your team up
now. Yeah. So yeah, Henderson still unfortunately having goal. Not on the wild card yet. I still don't even know when I'm going to play that because the team looks good most weeks. Yeah, Trent starting against Arsenal. Dunk at the moment starting against Wolves. Lewis obviously in there against Southampton at home. Rodgers and Watkins against Bournemouth at home. Good fixture. Yeah, Salah, Arsenal. I'm not sure who I'm going to captain again. Captain is a bit of a problem again this week for me.
Wemmer would be such a good shout. Against Ipswich at home, honestly, and Wemmer's my vice captain.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, considering I don't have the Haaland shout, then yeah, it's not bad.
And it'd be such a differential, and you wouldn't need to. Anyway, that's what I would do. That would be fun.
Yeah, and then yeah, Havertz against Liverpool as well. Solanke benching Smith Rowe at the moment. Saka's in there for now. Like I'm not really sure what to do with him at the moment. I do quite like the Son shout. But then I'm also looking at Saliba because I've got 2 free transfers. I'm looking at Saliba to possibly Aït-Nouri or, like I said, Vardiol. But then, yeah, if I got Vardiol, I'd have to bench a good player in a fixture. So I don't know who on earth I would bench. Probably Trent, really?
Yeah, just home against
maybe Havertz. Like maybe Solanke. I don't know. Maybe
as if you expect
maybe Dunk.
Do you think Liverpool are going to win on Sunday? You're talking as if you think Liverpool.
I do think they'll win. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, maybe not win. It could be a draw, but I think both teams will score. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so do I. I mean, Arsenal's defense we've been saying for weeks isn't what it was.
Yeah,
last season.
I think Arsenal are just injury riddled at the moment. Yeah, if Saka can't make it, then and Saliba's out. Calafiori doesn't look like he's going to play. So
Odegaard's
yeah,
obviously still missing.
Odegaard's still still out. Yeah, so they're filling in the blanks with like Sterling and Jorginho and who's going to play in the defense. I don't even know. Timber's out again at the moment. So
is there 3 key players in every position? Saka, Odegaard, and Saliba.
Yeah,
that's like the 3 of their best players just out. So yeah, I think it's probably it's only one like Rice injury away or ban away from being like absolute crisis mode. Yeah. So yeah, no, I'm looking like it's going to be a Saka out. But we'll see where we are Friday. Yeah, I think go for Mbeumo. I was just having a look at his numbers. It makes me want to captain over Haaland. At home this season, he's got 9, 14, 8, 9, 8. So he's not blanked. Yeah, not bad. Pretty good. Yeah, it does make sense. Like Ipswich are giving up so much
aren't they? Yeah, I quite like it. I don't mind the Watkins
Oh yeah, that's true because he got a
shout
lot of
either.
rest last night, didn't
Yeah, but yeah, I'll just decide later in the week. I don't know at the moment. Yeah,
he? Cool. All right, does that about wrap it up?
I think so.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll be back this time next week to talk about game week 10. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and another Haaland blank. That would be great.
Oh no, it can't be. All right. Bye for now.